Hey everybody, I'm in the shop with my friend Jeff Dietz, fellow tool tester, and we're here to talk about cutoff saws. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks.
Cutoff saws, also known as power cutters, masonry saws, demo saws. They're used by landscape masons and contractors, and they're ideal for cutting pavers, bricks, concrete blocks, and metal pipe and rebar. We all recognize that battery-powered saws require less maintenance. They're easy to start. You don't have to deal with that 50-to-1 mixture.
Yeah, our industry is now experiencing an increased focus on integration of battery-operated equipment across the job site, driving the discussion of gas tools versus battery-powered tools. In this situation, a concrete cutter can actually be brought into a home or a basement where a gas one would be prohibitive. We decided to perform a head-to-head test on 8 cordless concrete cutters or cutoff saws to determine which one was the best saw.
Yep. So we looked at the manufacturer sent us their saws. We looked at Atlas, Bosch, Dewalt, Evolution, which is a brand new tool to us coming to the U.S., Husqvarna, Makita, Milwaukee, and Sthil.
Yeah, so our testing criteria that we do in our head-to-heads, our team decided to score the cordless cutoff saws on numerous criteria. Each ranked them independently, and then we combine those individual scores to determine our
crown the king.
Yeah, that's it. Our overall best power cutter. We always include, but we do not rank the best value in the pricing category. We leave that pricing decision up to the viewers and their potential.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite categories, actually. We also didn't test decibels because these saws are well over OSHA ratings for hearing protection. They're all loud. I'll talk a little bit about our scoring criteria. So we looked at a couple of things. We looked at runtime. We were cutting, 3-inch deep concrete. We looked at rebar cutting. We ganged up number 4 rebar. We cut that for speed, watt hours per cut, depth of cut, and of course we look at ergonomics, features, weight, and price.
Yeah, so this test actually required a little bit of foresight into our preparation. About a month ago, before we actually started cutting, we poured a 3,500 PSI slab, 3 inches deep, 44 inches long, and we allowed it to cure for 30 days. The concrete cutters were all tested with fresh batteries and new manufactured blades.
All the manufacturers insisted that we use their blades because, they claim that they're optimized for their saw. So when we started testing, we look at runtime. That was our first test. Without a test rig to eliminate variables and things, human error, it's really hard to get a controlled test. Technique when doing this is super important, and we recognize that. So we needed to make sure that we could use the tool, let the tool do the cutting, but not bog down, which is why we designed our test with certain procedures and we got all our team on the same page. All the battery saws had fresh batteries. We all used manufacturer's blades. Water was used on every cut, and every operator employed a step cutting method. Which, and by the way, every operator would also let the tool do the cutting, listening to that motor for feedback. Operators would basically apply pressure, when the tool would allow it, and if the motor seemed to be bogging down, they would back off. And we would end the test when the battery died or depleted and the tool shut down. We would, total cuts, including any partial cuts, were recorded for a total lineal foot measurement.
Yeah, a little note on step cutting. For those that aren't familiar, it's incremental cutting with the saw that involves making multiple, step cuts, incremental cuts with the saw until the overall desired depth is reached. So you're not plunging it and bogging the saw down.
That's important.
Yeah, it optimizes the cutting efficiency, improves blade life, and results in a straighter cut lines.
So who won the runtime test? Well, it was Evolution, a brand newcomer to us. We haven't really played with these tools yet. Evolution, they're coming. They were a runaway winner with a total of 282 inches cut. This distance was staggering to us because it was 50% more than the second place Atlas saw from Harbor Freight, which was 188 inches. Following in third place was Husqvarna with 150 inches. This test also yielded two kind of anomalies or weird, unexpected results, I'll say. Dewalt had 74 inches. We thought it would cut more. And it experienced a shutdown with 2 bars left on the battery. It overheated or something. Makita cut 58 inches. So to ensure repeatability, we performed the exact same test on these 2 saws again. Different batteries, different users, and we got the same results.
What about different battery sizes? We hear you. It's always a conversation. So whenever we run a true runtime test on cordless platform, there's always a big elephant in the room about that battery size. Cordless tools these days run on a variety of voltages between 12 to 80, sometimes even 120 volts. And every tool manufacturer will market and advertise the amp hour rating on that battery. The more amp hours, the bigger the battery. It's useful when comparing tools on the same platform, or tools across platforms that share the same nominal voltage, 18 volts, maybe 20 volts, something like that. However, with all the tools running at different voltages, the quickest way to get a snapshot of how big a gas tank the battery holds is look at the bottom, see the watt hour rating on board. We can then take that watt hour rating for each tool and calculate it inches cut per watt hour, sort of normalize the field, to get and determine which tool is the most efficient in transforming that battery energy into cutting performance.
Yeah, and watt hours confuses people all the time. So I do like that we do offer that, and we do show that for people and kind of put it out in the chart.
So the watt hour winner was actually Evolution as well, which shows that they really are efficiently taking that battery performance and turning into actually per cutting power. They had a inches cut per watt hour of 0.98, which was really leaps ahead of the next one. Atlas, really impressive at 0.65. Then we had Milwaukee in third with 0.61. I know those numbers don't mean too much, but it's really just a way for us. And you look at the chart, you can see, how these compared. Down in the bottom, unfortunately, we had some tools with larger batteries that didn't cut very well, and that efficiency rating was dropped quite a bit.
Evolution and Atlas. So Evolution, new tool to us, and Atlas, kind of a Harbor Freight tool that is, kind of an economical brand. Pretty impressive results.
Yeah, really surprising us on the crew. We're really happy to see some new contenders out there.
Okay, so let's move on to rebar cutting. We did some speed tests with that. Our procedure basically was we wanted to measure and evaluate the average time to cut through a bundle of number 4 rebar. So number 4 rebar, it's a common cutting operation on job sites. It's a popular rebar size. And it's a variable, I shouldn't say, it's a versatile choice for concrete structures and reinforcements. All of the saws that we used were outfitted with abrasive wheels, and one operator was used to perform the 5 cuts on that saw. The operator pushed as hard as the saw would allow to try to get the fastest cut. The operator used the same cutting technique to maintain uniformity as best as we could. And then we recorded each time separately. We combined the times for an average score.
So the fastest rebar cutter was Atlas. Yeah. The Atlas tool outperformed all the others in the test, achieving the fastest average cutting time of 7.56 seconds.
Very fast,
It was quick, yeah. And so it's also worth to note, though, while we did not record the actual decibel levels on these saws, we mentioned it earlier, the Atlas does produce a very high-pitched sound.
Yeah.
The frequency of it can be kind of, unnerving.
Screech.
Yeah, so everybody's going to want to have that. You're cutting rebar, you're going to be wearing your Pro anyways. Dewalt was the second. He came right behind the Atlas with
8.24 seconds.
That's quick too. And then Evolution was third, 12.52. While the Husqvarna and Bosch kind of lagged significantly, they were back in the 25-second range and so forth. But there is something to really note about the Evolution when we bring this to attention. It's sort of a manufacturer's safety note. We used abrasive blades on all the tests, and Evolution does not recommend using an abrasive blade on their power cutter due to the smaller side of their blade flange, would actually hold.
Right, they want a bigger flange. They don't have one, so. So we moved on the speed test cutting paver procedure. So we took these 12 by 12 by 1 inch thick pavers, and we measured cutting time on them. Again, a speed test, fresh batteries used, single operator per saw, water and step cutting techniques were used throughout the cuts. So the speed test winner was Makita. And it was a 4-way photo finish, right? Makita was average time of 8.4 seconds, Evolution was 8.6, Husqvarna was 8.7, and Milwaukee was 8.9.
It's half a second difference.
On the other end of the spectrum was the Bosch and the Sthil, and they were like 14 plus seconds.
Yeah, and another category that we scored was the depth of cut. Now this is more of a specification on the saws, and so the 9 and 10 inch saw category were primarily designed for cutting pavers in metal. Right. So as expected, the two saws with the larger 10-inch blades delivered the deepest cuts. Yep. The Evolution was the highest with a even 4-inch cutting depth, followed by the Husqvarna with 3.94. Then we have third place was Makita, offering a 3.5-inch cutting depth. And then our smallest saw, the Sthil, comes in last with the smallest capacity of 2.75 inches.
Well, I wonder if I think they were the first one to come out with a saw.
It's been around for a while.
Then we looked at ergonomics. Makita took that section. And look, this is purely subjective. It's based on opinions of our testing crew, right? If you don't like it, I don't care. After a full day of running performance tests, the team sits down and we banter about different categories, and we score everything
Bicker,
on a
fight,
1 to 5.
Scratch, yeah.
So 5 being the best. So for ergonomics evaluation, the team looked at a couple of different criteria. We looked at grip, balance, line of sight, which I think is important. Vibration is very important with my carpal tunnel, blade change, and battery change. So Makita came out on top with 24 points. That's good, actually, really good. Excelling in a line of sight and balance for sure. Both Evolution and Sthil tied with 23 points. And Evolution earned high marks for its grip ergonomics and vibration control, while Sthil stood out for balance category, and that's probably likely due to the fact that it's almost toy-like. It's small and lightweight, compact, really nice light sort of handle, like overhead and stuff. They also, have a really nice battery change.
Yeah, all really nice saws to use. You're going to be happy with all of them. All right, next up we have features, the feature category. Who has the most features or the best features on each saw?
Evolution.
And that winner was the newcomer, Evolution again. The Evolution is a feature-rich tool. It was the only saw that was equipped with a dual LED light. It had base wheels that you could actually move around. Solenoid-activated water trigger.
That was very cool.
Which was great to see. We see it on some of the larger saws. The only one in this category to have it. It was a clear feature winner in our testing. The Evolution features a separate power switch to control the water and the actual activation of the tool and the battery and the light. Excuse me. The battery compartment is a nice button, spring activated to protect the batteries. The second ranked was Milwaukee. It had app connectivity, a great blade guard, a good blade brake as well, really slowed down. And Husqvarna came in third, noted for its really nice user interface, anti-kickback system, which is really important.
Fast.
Yeah, I know, and good trigger activation. And the Evolution, the newest one to the field, it's had a lot of time to think about what it's going to put onto the tool and so forth.
They gotta get it right.
Some of these tools have been around. They've been around 8 years or so.
Yeah, no gen remakes. Or
Evolution really came swinging with what they brought to the field.
I would expect them to do that though.
Sure.
Yeah, because you're being last to the party, you've had a chance to look at everybody else's pain points and improve on them.
But sometimes OEMs don't do that, so it's nice to see.
Right. Yeah. Jeff, if I had to offer them or Evolution some feedback for a room for improvement, so to speak, I would absolutely suggest that they eliminate that left side safety switch and use an ambidextrous trigger spring switch on the trigger. Way easier for lefties. Left-handed users will thank you. Additionally, I'd love to see this tool as a single battery tool. I mean, I hate the dual batteries. Having to carry multiple batteries, a larger dual charger, it's a pain in the neck,
Absolutely. And so now for a summary of our key features. We took the time to list some of the key features across these tools so you can better understand their build quality. And the first up is the actual battery compartment.
Yep.
Evolution has 2 batteries, like we just mentioned, and requires users to place the tool down and hold the spring-loaded lid open. So you press the button and it pops open. You do need 2 hands to do an actual thing.
I did like that. Yeah.
The team noted that the Dewalt lever could be conveniently operated while gripping the support handle, even with gloves, but it could also be accidentally opened while using it. It's kind of tight there. In
it's
the handle
very tight
and where
space.
It is.
Yeah,
and then Milwaukee and Atlas both have lids covering their batteries as well, with sort of simple buttons on the side. The Atlas, it's a plastic latch that the team felt it could break.
Yeah,
we were concerned about it. We didn't have any issues with it, but it's something to note. And the Milwaukee was a flush design, which can kind of be hard to find, but it's nice and protected.
We preferred the covers, I think.
We did. Husqvarna, Makita, Sthil all have exposed batteries, so they can get slurry, they can get actual debris and water into the actual battery compartment. So we're a little concerned about some of those that do that. They all have some type of IP rating.
Yeah, and they're all sealed batteries and stuff. But I think with the battery compartments, I don't know. I just think that they should have drain ports or something where, you would want slurry or water to drain out.
Right.
Some do and some don't.
Yeah. And then the blade guard. The team preferred a one-handed guard adjustment, which we saw in the Evolution, Husqvarna, Milwaukee, and Makita, over the dual activation guard found on Sthil, Bosch, Dewalt. Requires a button press and kind of a notching on which one. It's nice to be able to just grab it and move it where you want it.
I think we talked about blade brakes, right? So all the models tested, they include a blade brake. I think that's important. The slowest stop time recorded was the Sthil. That was 3.4 seconds.
Yeah, all the rest were within a 1 to 2 seconds. Very quick. We
looked at user interfaces, and all the tools have an indicator light that lets you know if you're being too aggressive bearing on the tool or whatever, overheating. While some of the brands use multicolored, shiny, flashing lights, LEDs, none. I didn't consider any of them intuitive, except for maybe some of the basic cues of green, yellow, and red, like a red light, a traffic light. Bosch, Dewalt, Makita, they have indicator lights that often were obscured by your hand when you were cutting. Husqvarna features a digital display. It shows battery level, Bluetooth connectivity, temperature, the anti-kickback system that they have. Kind of cool.
And then LED work light, you might not think about it, but it can be useful. Bosch, Evolution, and Makita all include work lights.
Basements, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Evolution and Makita have dedicated switches to turn the light on and off. And the Evolution really did stand out with dual high-intensity lights. They're much bigger, much brighter, and positioned on either side of the blade.
Yeah. We also looked at app connectivity. A lot of guys don't get into the app stuff, but some do, right? Husqvarna and Milwaukee both offer app connectivity for performance monitoring. Husqvarna's Bluetooth app provides access to manuals, service history, parts, and runtime data, while Milwaukee's One Key lets you do a tool lockout in case it gets stolen, and tracking features. Sthil offers a battery monitoring app. I know you have that on your phone. And Dewalt includes a place to mount kind of one of those tags, those air tags, but it's not included.
Anti-kickback safety feature. Only one tool had it, the Husqvarna, which they call the X-Halt feature.
X-Halt,
yeah. Anytime you really start to bog down and it's going to kick back on you, it actually shuts the tool down. You need to reset your cut. Really nice feature.
That was pretty simple to do. We looked at spindle lock. Bosch, Evolution, Makita, Sthil all offer easy-to-use spindle locks. Bosch uses kind of like a cam lever, while the others use a push button. I liked the push button. Atlas and Dewalt also use push buttons, but we found them a little less convenient or friendly. Husqvarna and Milwaukee, you have to insert a tool into the spindle to lock it, and then a scrunch wrench to undo the blade. Pain in the ass.
Water cutting. It's important for cutting concrete and lots of the stuff you're going to be doing. Evolution was the only one to use a solenoid activated.
Really sweet.
Yeah, everybody has a valve to turn it on, but they actually have a solenoid trigger activated, so when you start your cut, the water starts going. It's a really, really nice feature.
That is a nice feature. I didn't realize how nice it was until you just notice when you pull the trigger, it just comes out. So. One thing that we should probably mention to them is the PSI, because we ran into that issue on the job site. Many of these saws have a max PSI rating, which is below what you might find on your job site. At least we found it on our job site. Yeah. What was ours?
Oh, 91 or
91.
Yeah.
So, for example, Sthil was at 25 PSI max. Milwaukee is 55. The Evolution is 145, but the municipal water where we were was 91 PSI, so we had to use a pressure reducer, $7 part on Amazon.
Yeah, something to keep in mind. A lot of them they're meant to be used with like a little backpack or a pump stand. So regarding the trigger operation, the team preferred saws that required the sort of fewest steps to activate. You want to be able to grab it and go.
100%.
Start your cut. Yeah. The top performers were those equipped with a small spring-activated safety lever integrated into the trigger. This design was found to be quick, easy to use, ambidextrous, offering both safety and efficiency without adding unnecessary complexity and steps where you're fumbling with something.
Yeah, Milwaukee's doing this now with all their tools. On their Gen 3 tools, they're doing that trigger. I really like it. It's a nice thing. We looked at base shoes. So when evaluating the bottom guards of these cordless cutters, the team focused on durability, material quality, and how well you could pivot into that cut with that. Atlas, Bosch, Dewalt, Sthil, and Evolution stood out, and they basically have this really robust construction underneath, like a fulcrum. Steel's metal brace was especially notable for being durable and easy to service and replaceable, which we like, earning it top marks. Evolution took it a little bit more, and they added a metal skid plate with wheels that acts as a bottom guard. Which the wheels are good because you can, helps you with straighter cuts and maybe less fatigue, stuff like that. Husqvarna doesn't really include a bottom guard. Instead, they use these little metal clips and rubberized feet, which we feel offers less protection and durability, especially rugged use and transport. Now, Makita has a PVC-like plastic brace, I guess, bottom thing, which we found functional as a fulcrum, but we were a little concerned about durability over time. Milwaukee also uses kind of a plastic brace, and it's really not designed to be drag. We feel that over time, real world scenarios, it's going to just wear and tear over time. Overall, the saws with the metal bottom guards provided better performance, longevity, and the plastic was a little bit more minimal.
Yeah, and now on to wrench storage. It's a real pain point for a lot of guys. 4 saws stood out for their well-designed wrench storage, which was Atlas, Bosch, Evolution, and Milwaukee. 3 of these tools stored a flat wrench, a dedicated slotted compartment, beneath the trigger handle.
Nice detail.
While Milwaukee uses the same location to store a scrunch, which they require to actually change the blade. Because Milwaukee requires 2 tools, it also includes a hex wrench stored in the side of the handle. It's kind of a down for that. Dewalt stores its wrench inside the battery compartment, which is really nice. I don't know why everybody doesn't do it. While the team felt this was the most secure storage option, it may interfere with fingers and knuckles during battery.
A little knuckle buster, yeah.
And Husqvarna and Makita both store their scrunch in a clip mounted to the support handle. We found this location to be convenient, but more prone to loss during transport and use. Yeah. And Sthil does not offer a onboard wrench storage, which I don't know, it seems like a real drawback
Yeah, I think
in this day and age.
First one coming out, I didn't think they think about it. I don't. All right, enough of the features. I think we beat that up pretty good. We wanted to give you a good idea of features. Let's talk about the power cutter weight. The winner of that was Milwaukee. Milwaukee was the lightest saw. We weighed all these tools with their batteries that we tested with. And Milwaukee was 14.14 pounds. Sthil came in second at 14.20, and the next lightest saw was Bosch, and that was 15.5 pounds. The heaviest saw was the Evolution at 19.25 pounds. It was a little heavy.
All right, next up is price, cost, load category.
Price matters.
Yeah, because everybody is loyal to, or most people are loyal to a battery platform. You've already invested a lot of money in it, but sometimes it's a new tool and it can be a new platform for you. So we include bare tool pricing for that reason. The best priced power cutter was the Atlas, which was actually sold as a kit with a battery.
Not a bare tool,
which was less expensive than the second least expensive tool, which was the Evolution at $450, followed by the Sthil at $550.
Who had the most expensive?
That was the Husqvarna, $976, which is quite a spread.
All these tools are online, but 4 of them in particular can be purchased at Ohio Power Tool, one of our favorite retailers. We're going to put a link in the video description below with those 4 links, as well as some other links as well. So, best power cutter. Who won that?
It was the Evolution. Yeah.
So
the Evolution ran away with it. They ran away with first place, averaging between first and second place in every category. Its worst showing was third place. It scored a total of 11 points. So in our scoring, fewer points is better. The next closest saw in this test was the Atlas with 27 points. That was the fastest in
big difference in points,
absolutely,
by the way.
Yeah, it shows you the gap. And the third was Husqvarna, 28, just behind the Atlas. So it really shows you how well Evolution did here.
Yep. Look, given the number of categories scored for overall ranking, we decided to double the value of our performance testing. And this is something Jeff has felt strongly about for a while. And the reason is both concrete endurance and rebar speed scores, well, we double them, right? So we double them to give it a 2-factor?
Yeah, well, we do 2 slab, 2 endurances, 2 speed tests, rebar and paver.
And the reason why we do this, we feel that cutting endurance and cutting power on the tools should carry more weight than, say, maybe, I don't know, features or weight. Right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And next up we have a fun category, which is best value.
Yep, that was the Atlas. And these saws are unquestionably expensive, and people look at money, and people are also loyal to battery platforms. But the Atlas isn't even a bare tool. It sells as a kit, and it came in second in our scoring. It performed extremely well. It's the least expensive. We've been increasingly impressed with Harbor Freight's Bauer and Atlas tools coming out so far. So
hats off to them.
Yeah, hats off to them. They're newcomers. Longevity-wise, I don't know how they'll hold up to some of these entrenched manufacturers that have a history of durability, but we'll see. Hats off to Harbor Freight. Whew, that was a lot of information.
Sure was. And look, we get lots of comments about how we make the final rankings. Everybody's got an opinion. There's dozens of ways to compare these tools, and our goal when testing is to achieve repeatable, consistent results and give you guys the data, and you can make your own decisions. We share all the data from our tests. You can re-rank the tools however you want. You can check them out on the website. There's a lot more without us, blowing through everything so quickly. And if there's an item you don't care about, whether it be price or whether it be cutting depth, you can remove that, reevaluate, and make your own opinion. We encourage you to do that.
Well, it's a buyer's guide, right? So we want you to kind of get some value out of this and find it valuable. Hopefully, you'll find our comparison testing, our head-to-head tests, useful when considering purchasing, a 9 and 10-inch cordless power cutter. So, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. Leave some comments. Love hearing from you all. I try to answer everybody that I can. And please subscribe and hit that notification bell right there. And we'll see you at the next video. Thanks for joining.
See ya.